What's going on, guys? AutoMatthic here with the Week 2 power rankings of the UBL, and as always I am joined by my friend IrishEmerald.
Hey guys, what's up?
And of course we are gonna jump into the Week 2 power rankings now. Sorry this video is late. I just had a crazy week work-wise and schedule-wise, so it was really hard to get this done, but we are gonna get them to you before the battles of Week 3 go live. At least we made that. Next week already looks because if everything goes right, it should still go on at Friday. So gonna see how that goes. Of course, you guys will see if we made that or not. And the next one should just be again on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when we can schedule. At least for me, my works looks actually a lot more lenient than this week. So, but again, just wanted to bring it to you guys. So here we are, and we are all good to go. So let's of course jump into the first few picks, because we know what we have for each other. Like, of course, the graphics have been made, so we know our places is, and we're getting more and more teams around the same position, but not just quite at the bottom. That's just something we're still a few off by every single time. But let's just go right into. Of course, as always, keep in mind, guys, this is we're gonna talk about team by team, not matchup by matchup, and also take into consideration on the far left side for me and the far right side for Irish. You can see how many places we dropped or raised the team from the previous week. So even if something doesn't align out perfectly, it might just be the case that, for example, I had a team much higher or much lower than Iris had, and we're just working towards each other, but we're still gonna take the post-draft, the current teams, and week 1 into consideration along with week 2. So this is not just week 2.
Let's get it on. Let's get right into it.
Number 10 is, for me, still the Toronto Tyrantrums, and for you it's your number 9. You actually raised them up again, because you had them like 8 at post-draft, then 9, then 10, and now 9. So what made you decide to bump the team up again?
I thought that 6 played quite well against Squid, and Squid was like a high tier rankings like the previous week and from post-draft, so I felt like 6 did quite well against them. Definitely kind of like dealt with a couple of like different sets that Squid brought. Thought he dealt with Laurentis fairly well. He did make some mistakes, you know. Turn 1, he forgets Tornado's Therian is Squid Z captain. Like, I can't absolve him of that. That's a big mistake. Like, you have to know who is like Z captains when you go into a match. That's just poor. But given Biosharp the Defiant boost in the game, it was very poor. But I felt like there was an awful lot of tough situations with Mew and Laurentis that Squid put 6 under, and I thought 6 did quite well dealing with that. And I thought he had a much better performance than my number 10 pick overall.
All right.
So considering the fact that he actually had a better performance and he was up against a top tier player in our rankings, I felt number 10 this week, I felt he deserved to be bumped up 1. So that's what I've done.
Okay, I'm still not too convinced for now, and like you already said, the forgetting that Torn is the Z captain, not scouting for Titanium Z turn 1 was a big misplay in my opinion. Just as not bringing Mano Swine in general to this matchup was kind of weird to me, at least from my point of view. And again, the play which you already mentioned by I want to take it one turn back, because it's not just give him Bishop Defiant, but you stay in on Torn, which confirmed to have a fighting type move. I don't think he showed that it was Focus Plus. Could have been Superpower too, but you know it has a fighting type move. You know that looking at the matchup you have, if you position Incineroar right, which every time Laurentis comes in you can get Incineroar in, your opponent does not have any switches, then you decide to take 60-70% damage from Focus Blast on Torn in exchange of a hit on Thorn, which I don't really understand. And afterwards, you save Incineroar at 3% only to give Bisharp Defiant, which to me, all those things adding up still doesn't really make me believe that I should be bothering changing this current position. I have been thinking about it though, because I was really considering my number 9 to be the number 10, because the number 9 for my, which we're going on later, has been keep dropping, and at one point, if that doesn't change, I might swap them around. But for now, I didn't feel like that was going to be necessary, at least to me. But for you it was. But this next thing is going to be another one we don't share. So let's kind of just jump into your number 10, unless you want to say anything else about the Tyrantrums for now.
I think I'm good. I think we covered the fact that he dealt with Mew and the Laurentis fairly well, and like that, like it could have been game over very quickly if he hadn't been able to deal with those as well as he did. So I think we're good. We're good.
Okay. Then moving on, we have for you at number 10 the Chicago Shaymin-Skies, which has been at 8 or 9 for the beginning of the season, and for me it's now all the way down at number 8. And this is one of the things which we mentioned before. Again, I chose to drop the Shaymin-Skies by 3 spots. I know that's you have the number 10, so you definitely are not happy with their performance, but I mean, I dropped it -3 2 times in a row right now, so for me it's coming from a long way, but we're starting to get this one closer to each other.
Yeah, we are. Although she is plummeting for you though. Plummeting.
Yeah, we're gonna see. But for me personally, I feel like there was some prep with these. Like for example, the Iron Head and Bulls on Arcanine was fun to see. Some other good plays were made with like Fire Fang predicting the Amoonguss to come in sometimes. But to me, the biggest thing was how Dougie was misplayed. That was just pretty big in my opinion, because they're trying to trap a Mon that is above the ground and then throw away her Sash and hit Sub afterward. I didn't really understand what that whole sequence of plays was, and on top of that, it never really felt to me that Serene was in a winning position in this game at all until a misclick of her opponent. But even at that point, it was never really in my thought that she might win this game. So that's why I, again, decided to drop it by 3 plays. Just as in week 1, I never had a feeling that she was going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm fairly well with you. I'm on the same thought process. I just felt that she didn't seem to get off well. She never was able to wrestle the momentum back. I've been for the last 2 videos I've been going on about, and that there's nothing really other than Mawile that really is really scary. There's nothing. Like Serp obviously is a bit scary, but there's like Serp is going to bring Leaf Storm. If you can have a Mon that can eat a couple of those up, then you can beat Serp, you know, and you can kind of build around that. But for me, other than Mawile and Serp a little bit, there's nothing really on Sarah's team that really wants to do an awful lot of heavy lifting offensively. I think we saw that here because she was never really comfortable bringing an offensive threat to her opponent. Was quite able to deal with her throughout the game. So, look, I didn't think it was a good game. I didn't think it was good for her. And the fact that she lost to my number 8 just meant for me that you can't lose to your a number 8 and the person below you lose to number 4 and not expect to be dropped down for me as well. I think that was another part of it as to why I dropped her, because 6 point, like a decent, for me, a much better performance than Serene did.
Okay, yeah, I'm not quite agree with that. I still like Serene's team better than the Tyrantrums, but maybe as the season goes on, of course, I don't have the schedule of the Tyrantrums open right now. I'm quickly going to grab it, because I also think that they didn't have the easiest schedule right now, because they played the Slow Bros week 1, which are still undefeated right now, and then the Totodiles, which we both have really high in power ranking. So that's not really coming off like too nicely for him schedule-wise. So that might change later on. But we're gonna see, man. If you don't have anything more to say, I'm just gonna jump into my number 9, which is your number 8. So we're gonna kind of complete the sequence there.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so for me, and I was personally debating. Let's just say that if I would have rose the Tyrantrums to 9 and put this team at number 10, if it weren't for the misplays I saw the Tyrantrums make this week. So that's the reason why it's still number 10 for me. But at number 9, for me, is going to be the Arkasan Razor Winds. And like we talked about how I felt that other coaches weren't really in a winning position this week. I never really felt that this team was in the game at all. Like, it kind of became just a punching bag for the opponent, and we're gonna talk about Skyrender later at how he played that well. But the first mistake, which I already saw, was that Comfy was kinda used as a defensive fairy, which it's not. And I know that I've been really skeptical about Comfy in general as a Pokemon, but something we can all agree on is that Comfy is not a defensive fairy and shouldn't be used as such, because there are just fairies that do that job way better. That was something which I personally felt like was the first mistake, and after Thunderous basically claimed 2 kills, there really never was a position, even besides the plays you made after that, to get yourself back into a winning position. I don't feel that the chances were never there, and for that feeling, just how overwhelming this loss was, even though the result was a 4-0, I think, right? It was 4-0. Yeah, it was 4-0, just check it. So, besides it only being a 4-0, to me, I've seen 6-0s which were less one-sided as this match. Let's just keep it at that. I'm not sure about you, but
no, I'm kind of on the same thought train again. Ironic that he was a bit of a punching bag this week, and it was Conkello that did a lot of work in the middle of the match. Kind of ironic how you phrased that. I feel like prep-wise, before I kind of dive into it, I want to say I thought JB's performance this week was so different to last week. I thought last week he actually did put in a solid performance despite getting the L. This week I thought he was very lackluster. He had no answer for Nastipath Thunderous, and for me, if you can't have answers for standard sets, you know, you're at nothing here for me. Like, you know, you have to expect Nastipath Thunderous. Now, if that can kind of do an awful lot of work against your team, I'm not going to begrudge you if it ends up winning the game for them, because not every draft team is going to be able to deal with every single one. It's impossible. But you should be able to have something. You should have you should be able to kind of have one that kind of come in and at least do something against it. You know, I didn't feel like he had any prep for Thunderous at all. I get what he tried to do when he realized Sunday was set up. He had to get a chip with Comfy and then a revenge kill with that AOs. But look, he had no prep for it, and he had very little prep for Conkello as well. We saw Conkello putting in a massive amount of work this week. He had very little prep for it, and he has a Zapdos, and he still wasn't able to kind of, you know, that wasn't built to kind of deal with Thunderous or Conkello. I felt like it was trying to do too much, you know, before the Zapdos was trying to do one or the other, something of that ilk. I just feel like JB, maybe he wasn't able to put as much time into prep this week as he has been in some battles, but definitely lackluster performance by him this week.
Yeah, I was really close at putting him at number 10 this week, if it weren't for some misplays, in my opinion, from the current number 10. But we're going to see how stuff turns out later on in the week. Of course, we're only 2 weeks in, so there's still a lot of games left to be played. But with that, let's also go into my number 7 for now, which is next up on the list, and that is going to be the New South Whalers, which Wilmars, not Whaler, Wilmars, which I've buffed up. He ain't got
the right to call himself the Whalers yet, buddy.
No. The Whalers are over there, but the Wilmars. So you have it at number 6, I have it at number 7. We kind of swapped around our 6 and 7s at this point, so we're gonna jump into your number 7 later. But I buffed it up 2 spots again, and I know that, but only one because of a crit.
And let's be honest, it was hacks, right?
Yeah, it for sure was. But so it might seem weird at the bottom of 2 places, but from my point of view, that the way he played was already better than week 1, which I might have been a bit too harsh to put him at number 9 just for that. But it for sure was better than to me how JB and Serene played this week. So that made me at least decide him to buff him up at number 7 for now, even though his win was purely because of hacks. Like, that should not have been his win, but he gets it anyways. But something that this game kind of showed for me was, again, the poor has control of his spot. Like, that can really come to bite you. In the end, this time it didn't. I like that he kept his head decently cool versus a Celesteela, which was trying to put on great pressure with weakness policy autotomized. I really liked how he played around that and how he just neutralized that without sacrificing too much. And even though it still seemed kind of rushed, some plays he made in situations like that, he still was able to make the right plays. But mid-game with his Busful, he still made... Like, he got almost every 50-50 wrong I think he had in the game. I'm not sure about how you look back at that.
Yeah, look, 50-50 calls, I'm not gonna... I won't judge him too harshly for getting it wrong because they're called 50-50 for a reason. You should be able to improve that. You should work at having to get yourself into a better position so that it's never going to be a 50-50 call. So that's obviously a side of the game he could definitely work on. But personally for me, like, I definitely felt like he dealt with Celesteela really, really well. Yes, he won by hacks. Now, I think we should definitely note that there was a bit of hacks against him. Crook getting burnt. Like, that is a nasty bit of hacks, but there's no doubt about it. Some had the game won until Snorlax got a crit, and it was kind of GG at that point. One other thing I want to kind of give Flying Bird as well is that he got rough at doing work, you know?
I knew you were going to say that.
So, like, he has to get a little bit of prop there, like, you know, fair play to him. Roughly got a kill. He got a kill, so, like, I'm going to give him a massive shout out there. Fair play to him. That was something I wasn't expecting to see at all this season. So, fair play to him for actually making that work.
I
feel like, look, despite it being...
Yeah, just go ahead.
And for me, anyways, I think despite the fact that hacks won in the game, right, he still won against the number 2 seed after week 1. Brought up 1 in my book, despite it being hacks. And look, he probably knows now that, look, if that's what, like, that was the number 2 seed last week, if he'd be able to see what he could do better, like, based off how the matchup went and how, like, he did, like, some 50-50s went against him and how he should look to not be in those 50-50 situations again. Maybe try and figure out how to lure Pokemon in to get chip on him, what have you. And I feel like knowing what the quality is at the top end of the power rankings, he'll be able to know, right, okay, when I go up against other people at that level in the power rankings, everyone got to think a little bit further along, like, you know, a little bit further ahead to be able to kind of be more competitive and not rely on hacks to be able to kind of win me the game.
Yeah, and for me, like, I'm happy to see that he finally brought Boswell on his team, because he, of course, his team is really ground weak, and Boswell helps with that, with the tremendous physical bulk. I'm not sure if I don't recall his entire set correctly. Maybe you can fill me in on that. But did he have Roost on it or not? Because if he had, I don't understand why he didn't go for it. And if he didn't have it, that was probably a prep on his part, which could have put him in a situation that he wouldn't be in so many 50-50s.
Yeah, no, I honestly can't remember, but I think it's definitely something that he should think about.
I mean,
because it's
the point I'm trying to make. Like, if he didn't had it, that was a thing in prep which he lacked, and if he did had it but didn't go for it, it was a missed opportunity in the game. So either or, it's a miss on one of the sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's exactly what you said. Like, those, if you had Roost, of course not late game anymore, but the first 2 50-50s could have been avoided if you had Roost, because then you could have just gone for Roost on the Snorlax, and no matter if he goes Marowak or stays in, you get back at almost full. You can try to Drain Punch or Earthquake the turn after and see just what happens.
Exactly, yeah. I know, as you said, like that's the sort of stuff that if he is able to do in better situations later on in the season against other top tier opponents and an RNG. So look, hopefully he can take that as learning. He might make a free agent swap as well, trying to with the ground weakness and get a bit of hazard control. We never know, but I think look, improvement, big improvement on last week. So I think we could definitely give him a little bit of a bit of credit for that.
Right. And then your number 7, which is my number 6, so we swapped those around, are going to be the Slovenian Slowbros, man. You're still refusing top 6 for them.
I'm still refusing top 6 for him. I want to give him huge props for getting a win against Sar. I think despite Sar being weak, like number 9 in week 1, like enough, but 5 in the morning or half 4 in the morning to do a battle against somebody on the west coast of America.
That's dedication.
Like literally, I've been there, right? Okay, having to get up that area to battle someone on the west coast of America in a draft league. Do not understand how difficult that can be to wake up that early and get yourself in some sort of mode to be able to think competitive mods and pick up a W in a draft league. That is incredibly difficult, and it takes huge dedication. So I want to give him a huge props for that. All right, and despite Sar being number 9, like you do have to be able to play at a high level in draft leagues so that you don't lose. So he had to be able to kind of go in. He had to be able to analyze Serene's team, realize what she was being brought, scout what was going on, and I felt like looked at Serene's team and look, despite a few mistakes and whatever that he had, like he pretty much just picked off her whole team until she was left with Morwell and Superior, and then look, thankfully he kind of at the end towards the game was trying to remember what answers he had in prep, which goes to show like when it is that early morning you forget things, from what you've done in prep. But he did manage to kind of manage to play around Morwell and the start very, very well, grabbed himself the W. Got to give him huge props for that. Very, very solid win, very, very solid performance. Just didn't want to put him up higher because, as we said, we're still taking the post draft into account. I felt like his team after week 2 are very weak to the stuff I mentioned earlier on in previous videos. Now he has made free agent swaps. I don't think it's as weak to those weaknesses anymore, but I still think it is pretty weak, but it's not as blatant as it used to be. And look, if he keeps grabbing W's, if he keeps especially against higher ranked opponents, because we have to keep in mind he's after being 6 and he's after being Serene Grace, right?
Yeah, that's also one point I want to make, because it might seem weird that we have a team which is 2-0 at number 6 and number 7, and again, I definitely feel like Marvel deserves all the props he can get for his work right now. Because I did not have this team as low post draft as you had. I had it at 8 because I still saw the offensive potential of the team, but the way that he is playing comfortably with it and picking up games, not really coming in trouble during the games is really big prop. One of my notes, not sure if I told this at the start of the video, I know I told I had little time, so I rushed through the videos to get this done, so I might not be as in-depth as I usually am, and the first comment I have on the Slowburst theme is in full caps, stop making Mega Banet do work, damn it.
I love it.
This thing is, it's week 2, it's still killing me. We're not gonna, please, don't tell me we're not gonna be in a situation where I have to chew my words on Mega Banet. That's not.
I love it.
That's not what I want to happen. But for now, that's not the reason why it's lower, by the way. But he has beaten, for my power rankings right now, my number 10 and number 9. So I would like to see him play better again, or actually come up against those higher ranked teams. Now you're gonna see who he's gonna face this time around. Because of course, yes, he is 2-0, but let's see. Okay, next week his next 3 matches actually are 4, maybe even. He's gonna play the Salt Lake City Swampers, which were number 2 for us both last week. Then he's gonna play the High Dragons, which was number 1 for both of us last week. Then the Stoutlands, which we still had high, I think at 5th the week after, and then the Appalachian Thunders, which we had 3rd, both of loss. So he's going to go up against 4 coaches which are all above him in power ranks, and I want to tell you, if he comes out with good results, he doesn't have to beat every one of them, but if we can, me personally, if I can see, no matter win or loss, I mean, if he loses all 4, then we might be in a different spot, but no matter win or loss, if I can see that he can hold his own in those 4 matches and comes out with good prep, good plays, and maybe scoop some points here and there, then I'm definitely willing to put him closer at top 3 or even in top 3 if he keeps getting good out of those. But I first want him to prove himself into those games before I'm going to bump him up to above number 6. I still feel like he should be top 6 with his current performance right now. So everyone, comment section down below, slow brush for top 6. Let's do this.
Look, if he, next week, it's the start of the real litmus test for him. If he passes, look, you never know, he might be bumped up. But we'll move on to our number 5, will we?
Yes, we're at number 5, and we share that one. So, gonna jump into it, which is going to be the Scandinavian Stoutlands, and I cannot tell you how happy I was to watch this game from Skyran, because this is everything I could have asked for from this team. Like, the first thing I wrote down for this team is, this is what I wanted to see from this team. This is how I would use this team, and how this team functions so well. Now, we also did.
He only goes up 1. He only went up 1 on your side. What?
Yes, he did.
Everything you asked for.
Yes.
Everything you asked for, and he only goes up 1.
Yes.
And Sky, you can feel the.
Okay, hold the phone.
Top 4.
Hold the phone. Let me explain.
God Almighty.
Let me explain, because here's kind of the same story, which I talked with over the Slow Bros. Week 1, he had a rough matchup versus the High Dragons, and I still keep that in mind, which is also why I wasn't too harsh on him last week. But he definitely took the things that we told him to improve on in consideration for this week. So that is something I really like. But the team he beat was a team I also debated putting at number 10 this week. So I kind of want to go a little bit more slow, but again, if he keeps this up and is also able to get this kind of prep and play into matches against the top tier teams, then he's definitely going to be top 3 for me again. But I really like how he is using the team in this, and I just hope he can keep the one up. Like, this is how you use Thunderous, this is mainly how you use Conkeldo 101. That's something that he really did good. And yes, I think the only really complaint I can give about him in the match is that it was just a 4-0. I think it could have been at least a 5-0.
Woulda, shoulda. Yeah, I know what you mean. But look, I think after losing week 1, getting the win.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also to make up differential again, because he lost 4-0 last week, which was pretty tough against a good opponent, and he basically got himself neutral again going on from week 2. So that's a really good job on this spot.
Yeah, exactly. So like, he's kind of like, back up to a clean slate. He can just go in next 8 weeks and just say, look, let's not worry about the first 2 weeks. Let's just start clean, forget about what happened, and just take it week by week from there. So he's in a great spot. Like, after that result, he had some nice things in prep. I thought he executed Nasty Plot Thunderous very, very well, and it broke through JB extremely quickly. We already touched on that, how JB didn't really prep for it, but like, look, preps for it or not properly, like, you still have to execute. You still have to find where you can set up on, making the right reads and that, analyzing the scenario and then executing. He did all of that with Nasty Plot Thunderous. Gotta give him props for it. He did a good job analyzing, as you said, Kong versus Zapdos and Conkeldurr versus Vaporeon. I feel like that's 2 weeks in a row JB, actually, just another point. 2 weeks in a row JB hasn't used Vaporeon properly defensively. Definitely, like, that's something he should definitely look at. But great job analyzing Kong against those 2 Mons. Very solid win, great bounce back. More, please. Definitely more.
Yeah, the only reason why he's up. What you said, the positioning of him was the main reason why I bumped him up to 1 play, because he was at 5th for me when the season started, and he's our 4 or 5, and he's now again, and that's basically all we talked about from week 1, that he didn't position himself right against Fabs. And of course we know that was a hard match for him matchup wise and for facing a tough opponent, but our main criticism actually got taken into consideration for this week, and you see how much he improved his play by positioning himself better, thinking about those kind of stuff, and I really hope he can keep that up.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to seeing more from him for sure.
Yes.
I think the only thing to know is, unlike Otto, who said he got everything off Sky but didn't bump it up more than one, the reason why I didn't bump him up is because for me, Thumb is up above him. He lost because of hacks. Didn't feel like he deserved to go down below that, and I feel like other people above me, they had tough matchups. Or they won. It was either they had an extremely tough matchup, they were going up against like another high tier opponent and he shallowly lost, or they won. So that's the only reason why Sky didn't get higher from me.
Yeah, and also for me, which also goes for both Skyran and Wallet. I did this, and I think you too last week with Blazing Squid and the Toronto Totodile. Like, we put it in 4, 5, 6 spot and said, hey, if you're gonna show us again, not just 1 week, but if you can show that this is consistent performance and not just 1 week of action, then you're more likely to get buffed up again. Because as you guys can see, when we're going to jump into the number 4, which is going to be the Appalachian Thunder, which we're going to talk about next. But before that, you can actually see that we kept our promise. The Totodiles are now both in top 3 for the both of us. So we're going to see where they are.
You know?
So we keep our promise. If they kept doing well, we're definitely going to give them that spot. But for now, the Appalachian Thunders, which because of that race, also dropped out of the top 3.
Whoa. Let's not rush the fact that we just pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
Can we just take a moment to just just enjoy that? Like, you know, we pronounced the team name correctly this week, folks.
Yes,
we finally did it.
It's week 2. It's week 2 and we did it, but yeah, that's the team that had to take the bullet, at least for me this week for top 3 wise, and also for you. And I didn't really feel like he made a whole bunch of mistakes, but mainly for me the Jirachi, which cannot touch Mog and not deal with Mog, was iffy for me. I feel like Mega Kangaskhan was played really badly, and like the main reason for that was that Weezing was swapped in multiple times as the obvious counter, like a physical wall with Rocky Helmet. As long as that's around and healthy, you're not gonna mash buttons, because then you're just gonna end up taking damage over and over again. Like, those were the 2 main complaints I have about him this week, but I definitely feel like he played the Crobat really well. Like, keeping away the hazards really efficiently. And besides that, I don't think there is much more he could have done prep-wise, because this was a tough matchup for him, so like maybe you have a different view on that, but I don't think that there is much else he could have really done to make this game better for him.
I felt, well, firstly, I felt that, look, what a game first and foremost. I thought that was definitely the game of the week, was Vepsis and Ash, for sure. Like, what an awesome match that was for me. That was my first takeaway from it. Super tight game. I thought he, both, like, it was like 50-50. I thought it was a lot of back and forth between both Ash and Vepsis. Like, it was very, very close. So, with, hey, I felt like, you know, like I didn't feel too hard up by his play, like, because either both teams weren't able to break the other. It wasn't until Vepsis made an awesome read, and we'll touch back on that when we go to him.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
And it wasn't until that read was made that the game was actually running, like, you know. So I feel like being that was losing to something like that. I feel like you're not gonna, and especially to the number 1 ranked team, I feel like you're not gonna be plummeting down the power rankings, and you can definitely feel like, look, wasn't my day today, but we gave it as good as we got, like, you know, and you know, it was a fantastic battle. But for me, it was the prep that kind of let me down a little bit, I felt. He was his win con. Like, that's, you know, if you guys watch the T-Builders he does, which he does the star videos, I recommend him, because it's a brand new take on him. We said it last week, I'm going to say it again, it's fantastic. But I feel like he identified Tapping Finney as his win con, right? And he had stated that there was a couple of mons that he needed to get rid of, like Configurus, or like a couple of other mons of Vepsis team that he needed to get rid of. And Scrafty win con for that. And I feel like, you know, if Scrafty's going to be the one who your second win con essentially, but Hero's going to be the one that will have to come in. It's like, for me, I just don't like that, because Scrafty A is slow. If it's not, you know, the Shed Shell, then you got to have Lumberry, because it will get status if it's coming on Skulls, if you need it to come in on Skulls and the like, because you're not going to bring Kangaskhan in on a Skull, I'll tell you that much. So it's going to have to default to Scrafty. The Scrafty gets burned and it gets neutered. That gives Vepsis momentum. Scrafty being a second win con there, maybe he could have come up with something different, you know, for me, and it might have been a different story. But I just feel like, you know, I think that was definitely what more slowed him down than anything else, was the fact that he had to rely. He was planning on relying on Scrafty to open the door for Tapu Fini, and Scrafty, I feel like, just couldn't do the work this week for him. Maybe in the future, if he plays Vepsis again, he will take another look at what else he could do to maybe allow Tapu Fini, if he decides to use Tapu Fini's win con again, to allow Tapu Fini to put in the work, because I don't feel like Scrafty is the one to do it for him.
Yeah, we're going to see about it. I mean, for me, it's still, I still like the team. I still think week 1 they played really well. So that's the reason why I only gave it a -1. And again, this is one of the situations where if the Slowbros and the Stoutlands keep performing and the Thunders don't bounce back, of course that will swap. But for now, I'm going to keep it at this.
I have full faith though Ash will bounce back though. Based off what I've seen, like, this was an insanely good match. Like, it was very close game. So I've no doubt that Ash will bounce back in this.
Yeah, I think too. But we're going to jump into our top 3 for now, and we're going to keep on agreeing with each other. So number 3, also -1, the Salt Lake City Swampert. And to me, I don't want to be too mean, because, like, of course, we established that they only really lost because Snorlax got critted. Like, if it wasn't for that crit, this team would have won, like 1,000,000%. But there's still some things that I think could have been better. For example, I feel like the Celesteela was pulled too soon. I would have liked to, of course it's easy to say after the game, but I would like to see if that actually, if he did a little bit more of chipping around the team before going into the setup, because he had a lot of setup this week, which would have worked out in the end, but I would have liked him to have a little bit more breaking at first and then go in one of the sweepers and then clean the game, because Celesteela could have definitely done the job, but not at the point where it was swapped in my personal opinion.
Like, you know, I think he needed that chip on Rufflet, man. Like, that's what he needed, you know? Like, what was he thinking? Like, how can you expect to win if Rufflet's there, ready to just bop it with the Z move? Like, he can't be at that. Can't be doing it.
Anyways. But, yeah,
I think it's very fair to say.
One serious note, lastly, from my part is, I don't really understand the heavy slam Atomize when people bring that, because, especially for this team, I really feel like either Flash Cannon or Giga Drain or something would have made more sense this week than heavy slam if you want to sweep, but that's just me.
No, I agree. Should be looking at doing something like that, especially if your weakness policy. Like, you're going to get your buff. I feel like he should have brought. It's just simply because you can become nimble, you know. So I definitely think that's something he'll take on board, and we won't see him do again. I think he'll keep that. I don't see him making that mistake. I think to be honest, right? He lost because of hacks, and if you lose and teams below you at this level win, normally you're going to go down. But he only deserved to go down by 1 because it was hacks.
Yeah, we're not going to be too harsh on him. It's mainly if our number 2, in my personal opinion, didn't play as good as he did, then this team would have still been number 2 in my books. But it's also not only him losing, but it's other teams also winning and playing really well to, for now, be above him, in my personal opinion.
I don't know. I think, right? Because I think we might as well reveal it. Like my number 2 and your number 2, because we both shared, is the Toronto Totodile.
And so for me, guys.
Asking you shall receive, Squid. Asking you shall receive. We want to see those wins, and Julie delivered them, awesome. But for me, I felt like had Thumb won, right, he would have put the total odds over him this week. I feel like Thumb, like we were discussing how Bird was in 50-50s against him, and he didn't get a lot of 50-50s right. There was no 50-50s for me. And I feel like if you can put your opponent in a position where you're never having to deal with a 50-50 scenario, then clearly execute your plan. You put enough pressure on your opponent. You've dominated a matchup. You've won. You've gotten the win. Like, it was by far a better performance. So for me, like, it would have been a no-brainer to bump him up too. I feel like his performance with Ash's, but Ash lost, but Squid won. So he gets the +2 for me. He's the number 2 seed this week. I'm gonna see if he can hold on to it after that.
Yeah, that's also the same for me. Like, I want to give him this number 2 for now, and also mainly as a main objective next time. Like, at first you were like hunting at that top 3 spot. Now you have it, and the hardest part in any sport or any game is not to come at one point, but to remain it. Of course, you can still look up to that number 1 spot, which of course is still for the grab for the entirety of the season. But I just want to give him the number 2 right now and see if he's able to hold on it by having it.
No pressure.
No pressure, of course, no pressure. And of course, if he keeps doing well, like this is what we've been saying all the time. If he keeps doing well, we're gonna buff him up. We did, and if he keeps doing well, he's gonna keep this, or even go to number 1 if he's gonna keep doing, because he is still undefeated as well. So that's still something to watch out for. And he did it against. I think, what teams did he play so far? Before I say anything that's not right, he defeated. Bird and the Tyrants. But of course, next he's gonna face off against the Stoutlands, which is gonna be a pretty important showcase. Game. And then week 5 he's gonna face against the Thunder. So the 2 teams that are like at 3, 4, 5 right now. So those are gonna be interesting matchups as well, power ranking wise. But we're gonna see if he's gonna be able to get this play up, because he has been playing really solid to me, and I know I had this team decently low in post-draft, but ever since he just have been proving me wrong in that sense. He's just been playing really well and utilizing the team really well.
I think 2 more points just to make on my end before we move on to number 1. I think it should be noted, like, he was playing 6 this week. Like, he was my number 10 last week. It was your number 10 the last 2 weeks. He was playing against them now.
3 weeks.
Yeah, and like, I have, like, for me, I did say I thought 6 played better this week, but we have to take into account, look, where he is at in the power rankings. So that's something that we should take. That, you know, that's definitely like a minus, I would say, towards him. If anyone's wondering why he's not number 1, that's definitely one of the main reasons, because just the quality of the opponent. And I think the other thing I want to give Squid credit for is his calcs offhand. He did not need to look anything up. He had done his homework. He knew what damage, like what mons would be taking, what kind of damage off different mons. You just knew he had done his prep very, very well. Got to give him huge props for that. Whenever you see a guy just know that sort of stuff offhand, you know he's done his homework, and you know he's putting prep to in prep to get that win. So definitely got to give huge credit for that. Always impressing when you see that.
And maybe the most important point, he had a pretty cute dog in the video. Like, can we talk about that?
Ooh, you gotta love a bit of doggo action, man.
Yeah, man, if you have that kind of doggo in your video, you're gonna get that number 2 spot right off the bat. Like, that's not going to be any issues. We want to see those animals in the videos, guys. Let's see who has the best animal.
Rumors have it he drafted Zydog just simply because he has a dog. That's what rumors have. That's what rumors say.
Anyways, let's go to our number 1, which remains the High Dragons for both of our sides. And to me, again, as I said last week, if you don't give me a reason to lower you, I will not lower you. And again, the thing which I've been saying post-draft and week 1 also applies for week 2. Every Pokemon, every set brought is there with a purpose. It's not just, hey, Pokemon X looks very fun versus Team Y. No, it's there with a specific role. The game plan is well thought of. And again, really well executed in resulting into another really solid W here against the team which we both also had in top 3 of the power rankings. So
Yes.
let's just establish he faced the Stoutlands, which we talked highly of, and the Thunders, which both of the time, I think the Thunders were 3rd when they faced him, and the Stoutlands were 4th, I think, at the time they faced. So schedule-wise, according to the power rankings, he should not have had an easy schedule, but he's 2-0 plus 7.
That's talk about, like, you know, starting your dominance early, you know, get on against two top teams and beating them. You know, first game was obviously a lot more comfortable. This game was tight. This is like a top of the table clash for sure, you know. So this is definitely.
Yeah, he had some hacks going against him, which made it harder in the end, but he was still able to secure a solid 3-0 in this game. And I think the set we both want to talk about is the special Lander Syrian.
Gotta love special Lando.
Yeah,
gotta love it. Special Lando T. Anytime you see it, you're like, there we go, buddy. There we go. And when you see it work, you gotta love it.
Yeah, and in general, the way he figured out that those kind of sets were effective not only against the Thunder's team, but also against their coach. Like the way he likes to play, no matter the team, being able to scout for that, see that through his games, and come up with a game plan to basically, as his video suggests, to just show that big middle finger to his playstyle in general. Like, those are the type of plays that keeps him at number 1, no matter how big his win was this week to me.
I feel like the read on Crobat, incredible. I think like the way he knew that Crobat, he was going to keep Crobat in to go for the taunt on Landorus, because he knew that that Ash couldn't afford Lando to set up a potential Source Nest, because he hadn't fully revealed that Lando was special at that point. So the fact that he knew after like playing, like I'm assuming they were half an hour into the game at that point, that he knew Ash was going to have to go do this, and he went for the Psychic, and like he read him perfectly, because it was exactly how the game it was exactly what happened, and he read him perfectly, KO'd the Crobat, and all of a sudden there was no Landorus answer. No one who wanted to come in and deal with it. So the fact that it was an awesome read, and then Lando was able to put in the work after that because there was no answer to it. Okay, absolutely incredible. So I think you have to give huge props for that. That's not an easy read to do. That's the sort of read that you're able to make when you played and you play competitive Pokemon at a high level for a long time. Once you've done that, once you've been at that level for a long time, those are the sort of plays that you're able to make, and you're able to read your opponent. And it's just a mark of really good skill. So I have to give huge props for that. I like the toxic spikes on Weezing, because as he said in the video, if anyone doesn't know, if Tapu Fini comes in on toxic spikes, it's still going to get poisoned because spikes land first before the misty terrain comes up. So awesome read there. And then the fact that he knew that, look, Whimsicott gets free lead seed the whole time. There was hacks against Whimsicott landing it, as you touched on, Auto, but the fact that he knew, look, that's the thing, and he could exploit that. I have to give props on the prep, and I have to give massive props on the execution on Lando T.
Yes, and of course not only the hacks with Whimsicott, but also of course the Zen Headbutt miss from Bronzong, which turned out to be pretty big differential-wise, but we're not like I said, it wasn't really about the score for me that decided his position again, but the way he was able to read his opponent and his playstyle and take advantage of that. That's basically my main reason, which I don't see many other coaches in the league do. So that's the reason for me why I'm keeping it up, and for you already gave your all. So with that, I think we are through it again, and I should probably get this video into the render as soon as possible so we get that video out. So again, guys, apologies, this is one day later, but next week we're gonna be, unless some bullshit happens, we're gonna be back on time. So again, Wednesday or Thursday, stay tuned for the power rankings, and of course we still appreciate all the support you guys give us in the comment section, also on our week one power rankings. really like to see that they're doing well, getting lots of likes and views and whatnot. So really happy to see that from my part. So I want to thank you guys for watching again, and you take us out, Irish.
I think that's it. As always, guys, let us know what you thought in the comment section down below. We love reading them, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week.